BXB. It's in the game.
You know, I don't think I've ever met anyone who didn't love the original Monkey Island games. It's the gaming equivalent of the Isle of Wight festival. If everyone who claimed to have been at that festival had actually been there, the Isle of Wight would have tipped over into the sea. And likewise, if Monkey Island had sold as many copies as you'd think, Tim Schafer and Ron Gilbert would be able to afford to live in space stations orbiting Mars by this point. I mean, obviously, I remember how the 14-year-old me actually got his hands on the game, so I know why that isn't the case, but you know, it was a game about pirates. Regardless, those games are revered memories for a huge number of gamers at a certain age, which is sort of a problem, because it means whenever people discuss old video games, you're never far from that question.
God, whatever happened to those brilliant old point-and-click adventure games? Oh, I used to love them.
Nah, mate, nah, you really didn't. You used to love two of them. You loved the pirate one, and you loved the tentacle one. And if you were really cool, and I mean blistering old school Sub-Zero cool, you might also have Loom on that list. Loom was the one about the musical weavers who all turned into swans and was secretly the best one. But no one remembers that now. I mean, insult sword fighting, it's so clever, innovation. Look, in Loom, you had to cast the spells backwards to reverse their effects. That was properly clever. Stupid Guybrush. Anyway, the point here is that for every island of monkeys, there was also a bag of dicks. And if you don't believe me, well, you can grab yourself an Amiga emulator and you can take that trip down memory lane. Or, to be slightly uncharitable, you could just play Hayseed Detective Hollywood. God, even the name feels clunky. I mean, Hollywood what? Hollywood Caper? Hollywood Hijinks? How about just calling it Hayseed Hollywood Detective? And then a subtitle, like in the case of the stolen word from your game title. But let's save my sharpest knives, at least for a little while. I really did try to give this game a chance, even through an opening sequence that tutorialises the game to the point where it's borderline insulting. Point then click, you say? Oh, thanks for the heads up, guys. I was baffled. Eventually you are released from these shackles, and then you can start puzzling in earnest. And at that point the nostalgia really starts to pour forth, and all your old friends are back. Oh, hi there! Utterly illogical solution. God, how have you been? Are you still with infuriatingly vague failure message? Because, I mean, you two were inseparable back in the day. Married, you say? Oh, dude, congratulations. God, who's that over there? Is that brute force inventory fiddling? Bloody hell, what happened to him? Yep, this game is a great reminder of all the things that the point and clicks you actually remember didn't do. I mean, much. There was that whole monkey wrench thing, and the bit in number 2 where you had to put an entire dog in your pocket. In fact, now that I think of it, there were a few dodgy puzzles in the Monkey Island series. Not like Loom, which was actually perfect. You know, where's my reboot? You know, where's my series 3 and 4? I miss you, Bobbin. I should probably get back to talking about Hayseed Detective, I guess, but it's pretty telling that I'd rather just crack jokes about older and, frankly, better point and clicks. At its best, this game is thoroughly mediocre, and God, at its worst, it is cringingly bad. It's nowhere near as funny as it needs to be. The game is full of these comedy film star pastiches, and the writing on those would shame an episode of Bo Selector. The main character goes from snarky wisecracker to earnest adventurer in the blink of an eye. The puzzles are all either stultifyingly easy or impenetrably illogical, and even the graphics, which are supposed to be the major selling point, everything's hand-painted and airbrushed, they still have this weird feel to them. That fisheye lens effect and the slightly odd palette choices. Somehow everything in this game just feels really awkward. Things like this spelling mistake, they don't help either. I mean, the whole game just can't decide, are you a cool super agent or are you a bumbling idiot? It presents you as a kind of idiot farmhand who falls asleep at a moment's notice, but then the first task it gives you is to build a laser weapon, and you don't know if they're going for a gag with that, or if that's the tone of the game. Like, it just comes across as weird and confusing. And while I'm complaining, special mention for this game's obsession with breaking the fourth wall. The main character repeatedly turns to camera and says things like this. I mean, really, this has been done to death now. Can we please stop? It's just not funny. I suppose I should find some nice things to say. Well, I guess I like this feature that shows you all the hotspots in the room, and I like the way you can cycle your inventory with the mouse wheel. I mean, these two features, they make brute force checking everything in your pockets with everything in the world a very quick process. Then again, that's a bit like having a poison testing kit on the table with your Christmas dinner. I guess it's nice that it's there, but really, you'd rather it wasn't necessary. I do like that they've voiced the entire thing, and honestly, the voice acting, it's not bad. I've disabled it right now because having voice in the game interferes with the voiceover I'm recording, but, you know, I can shut up for a bit and let you enjoy it for yourself.
That's my great bride. I mean pride. A collection of butterflies. The most admirable one is the dead admiral. Red admiral. Wait a moment. That's the password. The password is admiral. Whew.
Yeah, the voice work's not good, is it? It's this game in a nutshell, really. You can't quite put your finger on it, but somehow it ain't right. And as much as it might seem otherwise, I do genuinely hate slagging off a game like this. It feels awful to say to everyone, look guys, here's an indie title you've never heard of, and it's kind of bad. Like, who am I really helping here? You weren't going to buy this anyway, so I don't know, what should you do? That's 2 stars? 2 stars, I guess?
BXB. It's in the game.